Welcome back, everyone. Fantasy football weather guys. Week 16 for most players. It's championship week if you're lucky enough. I'm here with our on-staff meteorologist Sean Bratton. How you doing? Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Happy to be back here for potentially our last week of the
Yeah,
fantasy football weather guys. Super exciting. But how was your holiday, Colin? How are you doing over
I'm
there?
doing well. It was a quiet holiday, more zooming than actual hanging out, but
Yeah.
it's the best we can do. And like Sean did mention, this could possibly be our last show. Most leagues are done. We will kind of, if there's a weather impact or anything that really is going to be influential in DFS, we may come on and do a special show throughout the remainder of the seasons, or the remainder of the season, not seasons, I guess. But so we'll keep you updated. For this week, we will start today, right? So today on Saturday games, they're all domes, and I'll bring up our weather table. So Tampa, Detroit, San Francisco, Miami, and Cincy games, they're all playing. Detroit's a dome, Arizona's a dome, Vegas is a
Yeah.
dome, and Houston's a dome.
And Houston's a dome, yeah, for tomorrow. And you'll
Yeah.
see that there's NAs next to there to indicate that those are dome games. And, even to, go further here for our Sunday, Monday games, there is all green here.
Yeah.
But there was one game last night I feel like we have to touch upon just
All right.
because it was like, and this is so impactful because in our league, I'm not in the finals. Colin's not. None of our players are. But there are two that are in the finals, obviously, and one of them had Alvin Kamara, who got 6 TDs, 155 yards, and now has 55 points in our league
Right.
currently to start off his week.
I mean, game changer. It was a 40-point swing in our league. The one team was projected to win by 20, and now he's projected to lose by 20. So best of luck to them.
It's crazy. I mean, how impactful. I mean, that just shows you when you make Alvin Kamara a focal point of your offense and you're moving the ball, I mean, he has the ability to score 6 touchdowns. He could have had 7. Taysom Hill went in
Yeah.
for one of them where easily Kamara could have had 7 in this game because they were on the goal line another time where they could have handed him the ball. And just like one of those games, you're just like, especially at the perfect time, the fantasy finals. And a lot of people are in the fantasy finals who have Al Kamara because he has been, I mean, maybe not as consistent, but he has still been an incredibly reliable fantasy player.
Yep.
So, congratulations to everybody out there that has him and probably will win their league.
And Saints clinched the division with that win too last night. So
That's true too.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true too.
So back
Good luck to the Saints. I'm rooting for them.
back to our weather table, like Sean was saying, we are all green. And, it's so odd the way the weather's kind of working out this winter is during the week, crazy weather. During the weekend, beautiful weather. And then now if it's the summer and everyone has things to do, it's the reverse. It's going to rain every weekend, I bet. But so the one,
That's just the way it's working. Yeah, it's incredible. This December, we actually had a pretty good stretch in October, November, where we saw some pretty impactful weather, especially in Cleveland. There was like 3 straight weeks. But you're right. In December, things have quieted down a little bit. And if you go to our weather map,
Mhm.
Colin, we could kind of just start off looking at a general overview
Yep.
for this week. And this is actually this morning, our weather model, the GFS this morning. Again, our games today, not going to be an issue because they are all domes. And for most of the United States, it's going to be pretty clear other than the Pacific Northwest. It's going to be pretty clear conditions. But we're going to notice something here. So, Colin, what I'm asking you to do is to go forward a little bit.
Yep.
I want you to keep your eye over the northern plains, over the Midwest. And then we see that there is a system developing over Iowa, western Illinois here, and it's going to intensify pretty rapidly. So this is at 0Z or Sunday night. So this is 0Z Monday or actually Sunday night. And we do have a game in Green Bay for Sunday night.
Yep.
So we have the Tennessee Titans traveling to Green Bay for this one, and we see that the circle is orange.
Right. So
We're looking at potentially, they're looking at this as an extreme event. Actually, on our weather table, Colin, if you don't mind navigating to our weather table here real quick.
yep, I got the game
And
right
if you
up
go down,
for us.
oh, you have it up. Perfect. Like you read my
Yep.
mind.
Yep.
There's not a
Got you,
whole
Sean.
lot of precipitation, right, Colin?
Right. And that's the interesting thing is, like you said, that the weather maps are one type of model, and this is using another source data, and they're a little out of sync, but they're showing that there is potential here. And as you
Yeah.
see, it's green on the temperature, the wind, but we're really right, Sean. It's really this precipitation that over the next couple days, or even the next day, I forget, we're already Saturday, is where this could change. This could go to orange.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at. And to Colin's point, we use different thresholds for our different models. We're kind of testing some things out here on how stringent we want to be with these thresholds. For right now, we're predicting, 200ths of an inch. This is not going to be a ton of precipitation. So I also want to say this is not going to be like a monumental event. However, we are expecting snow for Green Bay. Temperatures are going to start to drop. They're going to start up in the upper 20s and then maybe get down to the mid 20s, maybe even lower 20s by game's end. And so there is going to be snow here. Now, what I did look at when I was looking at the model is there is some mesobanding moving through, which means there's potential for periods of heavier snowfall. So right now we're predicting around 1 to 3 inches, probably around 1 inch for game time. But there may be isolated times where it's a little bit heavier as well. But here's the headline, right? So who cares? We want to know what that means for fantasy.
Yeah.
And the headline is play Aaron Rodgers. Play your Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers and perfect. Again, Colin, you read my mind. These are statistics for Aaron Rodgers in cold weather and some snow. So notice in the cold weather, you see a lot of these green bars, and you notice a lot of them are in the middle, but there's also some to the right. And what that tells us is that he scores quite a few fantasy points, even in cold weather, to the effect of even a 50% bump in his stats, his fantasy point values during cold games. He just thrives in the cold. He's just on. It's just one of those things, the X factor of Aaron Rodgers. We saw this last year against the Giants. It was cold. It was snowing. He just lit up the Giants. I mean, everyone was lighting up the Giants, but especially so in the snow. I would not worry about playing anybody on the Packers. Play Aaron Rodgers. Play Devontae Adams.
But let's go.
You're playing Aaron Jones.
Let's go to the other quarterback, Tannehill.
Tannehill. So we don't have a lot of data with Tannehill. He was a Miami product, right? That's where he started his career under Adam Gase. He didn't play in a ton of cold weather games and a lot of precipitation games, but the evidence that we're seeing is that his upside is capped when we have inclement weather. So right now what we're looking at is these are cold weather games. So this is Ryan Tannehill in cold weather. So you notice the green bars off to more of the left. And what this tells us is that he's scoring pretty much below 20 fantasy points in the data that we have anytime there is cold weather. So his stats are a little bit more skewed to the left. He's not quite doing as well when we have cold weather. And then there's one game, you may say, well, what about the snow? I thought you said it was going to snow. And it is going to snow. And the one game that we do have for Ryan Tannehill where it was cooler and it was snowy was the one against Buffalo in 2013 when he was with the Miami Dolphins. Yeah. And again, different coaching regime, right? This is a high-powered offense now, but still, he really struggled in that game. I think in that game was around 35 degrees. There was around a tenth of an inch of precipitation. There was some wind around 20 miles an hour, so not too far off from what we're going to maybe be seeing here on Sunday. And he only scored 3 fantasy points. 3 fantasy points. Again, I do not expect that for Ryan Tannehill in this game, but I do expect his potential to be capped, especially going against a Green Bay defense that's been on fire against the pass of late. They're a top 10 defense in terms of yards per game for quarterbacks. They're only giving up around 217 yards per game in the air. The only highlight last week when the Panthers were in town was DJ Moore, who had 6 receptions, 131 yards. Everyone else was pretty much shut down. Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, it just wasn't they only scored 16 points altogether anyway. So the highlight here is I'm not super high on Tannehill. I'm not saying don't play him. I just think you need to really cap expectations here. Don't be surprised if he only gets you 20 points. He's not getting you that, 4-touchdown game, 400-yard game against the Green Bay Packers Sunday night. Now, here's the thing. We're expecting Corey Davis to go up against Jair Alexander, shutdown corner for Green Bay. I expect him to shadow him on the right side, and he has been shutting people down. He shut down Robbie Anderson last week, giving up around 7 fantasy points per game. I'm not high on Corey Davis this week. I I think he's going to get some targets. I just don't think he's going to get as many receptions. On the other side, I think A.J. Brown going against Kevin King here, I think he could have some big play potential. We saw that with DJ Moore over the top. I think he gets some big plays, and I think that's Ryan Tannehill's really only hope in this game is to go to AJ Brown and maybe I'm expecting them to have to come from behind here and get some big plays to AJ Brown.
But on the other side, when you have Green Bay, Tennessee's giving up the second most reception attempts to any team. They're averaging about 26 receptions against, when you're playing Tennessee. And I think there's an interesting thing going on with, Devontae Adams you're going to play, but then the two below him, right? You're going to have Lazard and MVS. And it's interesting. When you look at them, one of them will have a big game, but they both won't have a big game. MVS throughout his kind of year has been very silent, but then has a big game with a touchdown. Then you look at Lazard, though, he may have a decent game, but he's really only averaging maybe five targets, 6 targets last week with 56 yards. He's got a potential to probably get a touchdown, but MVS kind of between the two, I think in this game I would take over Lazard. So, I mean, it's a very interesting if you're ever trying to figure out which one of those to play, I would go MVS because I think he's got the upside when you look at his games when he plays a weaker defense. He gets multiple receptions, 100-plus yards in one game against Jacksonville, 85 yards against Detroit, twice almost, touchdown with Detroit, and he's got 5 touchdowns on the year where Lazard, I think, only has 1. So, 3. So
yeah, I agree with you. I mean, they're both not going to be facing, like, incredibly good corners there in Tennessee. And to your point, like, Tennessee's given up over 300 yards per game, like I said, and like you said, giving up the second most targets per game. So, I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to thrive in this one. Hey, you want to go MVS? You want to go, Lazard? I'm probably going a little bit more Lazard here. I think he's going to give you a better floor, but like you said, MVS could get you that touchdown. So,
yeah.
But they will be passing in this game, and I think there's going to be volume to go around. And unfortunately, on the other side, the only person I'm really playing is AJ Brown.
Yeah. So on the other side of the world of fantasy, the betting, you said the over/under was 55 on this game, and the spread.
I think 55.5 last time I checked.
I think. I
think Green Bay favored by 3.5.
I think from our discussion pre-show, the under might be a comfortable position here with a little bit of weather coming in. Tannehill not being a good cold weather guy, they're going to keep the scoring low. I think from Tennessee's side, I do think that Green Bay will cover that spread. I just don't know if they're going to have 55 points combined.
I'm more confident on Green Bay covering the spread here. I just think, we've seen this from Aaron Rodgers before, and he's just automatic in these conditions. So I'm taking it 3. They're favored by 3.5. I'm taking the over on that. I'm even more confident in that than the over under. But I do think that's going to be under, just because I do think. The Tennessee is going to have to rely on the run a little bit more. Derrick Henry's there. I think he's going to I just think they're going to waste a little bit more clock in this game and maybe not get up the score as quite as much as they have in previous games.
Wow.
And then one other quick player in this game, you may say, well, what about Geno Smith, right? I mean, this guy's been a standout this year. Green Bay been locked down against the tight end. They're only giving up around 44 yards per game to tight ends and around 6 fantasy points. So I think he's going to see targets, especially if there's weather, because it's a safe player going to the tight end. I just don't think they're going to be very effective. They'll be lower, yards per reception.
Yeah. I don't really have much more to talk about on this game. Sean, do you have anything last that you want to wrap up about this game before we kind of talk about the rest of the week and what else we're seeing? If we're actually not seeing anything else, but.
No, Colin, I think you summarized it well. We're tending toward the under in this game. Green Bay covering just as efficient they've been, having all their weapons. And we're definitely hesitant with Tannehill, not saying necessarily don't start him, but limit expectations. Corey Davis, I'm not playing. AJ Brown, I am.
So
and that's about it.
Yeah, to wrap up, I brought the weather map up one last time. We are watching a potential storm or front move through Green Bay. Game time, but again, it's going to be a precipitation, but it's going to be, like you said, 1 to 3 inches of snow. So it's not going to be too detrimental. Aaron Rodgers, his whole career has played in a situation like that. So, I think
Yeah, and it's just sometimes you got opposing QBs go to the frozen tundra and play in those cold conditions because it just feels colder in Green Bay. I was there last year during a snow game, and it was like around 25 degrees, but it felt like 10 below. Like it was cold, and so I think some players have trouble acclimating a little bit when it gets cooler there. And the other thing is that field is heated, so it could get a little mushy on the field as well, especially if there's snow. It's really cold. That there may be some problems with footing there as well. So another kind of heads up in terms of the field conditions.
Got a question from a viewer. Lamb over Corey Davis?
Yeah, I'm liking Lamb over Corey Davis. I just don't. I'm just not loving Corey Davis. You have Philly and Dallas playing. They're playing at Dallas. I'm feeling CD Lamb this week. I have him higher in personally my projections than Corey Davis. And the reason being, I'm banking on Alexander covering Corey Davis, and we've seen people just get, especially of late, just get completely shut down by him. So going into fantasy playoffs, if I know that a player has a potential for getting shut out, I'm going with somebody else that I think has higher upside. And against Philly, I think CD Lamb is a better play here.
Cool. I agree. Anything else?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. See.
No. I mean, did you have anything else about this game, Colin?
No. Good luck to you, Lex. Championship week. Good luck that you're in the championship game. That's what beginning of the show we were talking about. This week.
Oh yeah. Congrats if you're in the finals.
Yeah.
The only other thing I was going to point out is if you were looking at like, hey, is there anybody else I should target if you're in DFS? I'm looking Tom Brady against Detroit. He did really well against the Falcons. I expect big thing from Mike Evans and Antonio Brown. I think they're going to get targeted often and early, and they have some good matchups on the corners. So I think if we know Tom Brady could take advantage of good matchups, so I expect them to have big games. And Detroit's just been getting pummeled as of late against wide receivers on defense. So. I'm going Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown are my other picks.
Yeah, no, I don't really have much else to say to wrap up this week. Like we said, this may be our last full show. We'll watch weather events as we get into the later on in the season. We know most leagues end today or this week. DFS will continue, but if there's big weather events, we'll come back on. We'll have a chat. Follow us at FFWeatherguys, and have a great holiday. Happy New Year. And Sean, it's great talking to you as always.
Yeah, good talking to you, Colin. Hopefully we'll be back next week. We'll look at the weather. But if not, everyone have a fun, safe holiday season, and we will see you next time.